Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. We're all speaking on brand new microphones, so we may sound awesome or not. Who knows?
See how this goes.
Are we hot or are we not?
Oh, boy.
Oh, that was a bad show.
That was a bad. Wasn't that a website for a while too?
No, it was
Like
an
you could
actual
rank
TV
people.
show. I think it might have been on MTV or VH1 or something where
Jeez.
people would strut out and hot or not, and there's a series of judges. Like, wow.
Wow.
We were shallower people at one point, or at least more
Were?
obvious about how shallow we were.
I'm still pretty shallow.
This is, say,
That's
I
fair.
think we just hide it better now as
Yeah.
a society.
I just want to let all the listeners know that this is our Gala 101st episode.
Glad you got that out up front. It's really good to let them know the context of maybe why we're doing our shows.
I did like Danny Williford saying the surprise twist ending of last episode.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a little anticlimactic,
Yeah.
I guess you would
I guess
say.
we could have re-recorded that beginning, but got to keep it real.
That's
Yes,
right.
man.
That's right. Hey, also, Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah,
Happy New Year.
2021.
That's right.
We're living in the future.
This could be a year that doesn't suck, maybe. I'm just going to knock on all the wood. It's fine. Everything's great.
There we go.
Right. Keep in mind that Mad Max occurs in the year 2021.
That's right.
So here we go.
He really goes through something in that film, too, you know?
Yeah, that's true. This is the first one then, the first Mad Max?
I
or is
believe
it-
it's the first Mad Max.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's kind of tracking correctly, if you remember how that.
I do.
Especially if you live in Australia.
Oh, jeez. I thought they were doing really well right now,
Yeah.
comparatively. Maybe.
They're not on fire this January. I
That's
guess.
true. Yes, they're not currently on fire. And they handled the pandemic well, from what I understand. Or was that New Zealand? I think it was Australia.
Australia did fine. New Zealand's the one that nailed it.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah.
Hey, guys, big news was that Cobra Kai Season 3 dropped.
True.
And I watched every single episode.
Oh, did you?
How
Oh, yeah.
was it?
I loved it. What do you mean,
Aw.
how was it?
I don't know. I haven't watched any Cobra Kai. I keep seeing it advertised, but then don't watch it because I have too many things to watch.
I've 3 episodes in.
Mhm.
Started watching, going like, okay, so see where this is going. So far, it's kind of like, all right, but I think it feels like it's all building to something very freaking cool.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It's very soap opera. It's just a bunch of relationships with karate thrown in the middle of it.
Yes.
I will say this, at the end of the last episode, I did not realize it was the last episode. And I was like, next episode. And they were like, no,
Ouch.
thank you.
Oh, I hate that.
Motherfucker.
I did enjoy the almost comedic, tongue-in-cheek news reports of the karate gangs. And
Yes.
I thought karate died out in the 80s. So I was like, yeah,
Little
there's some
did you know.
accuracy to that.
I'm here at a school where what can only be described as an all-out karate riot occurred. Yes, karate riot. I loved it, and I hate that I'm going to have to wait a year now for...
That's actually the one thing that bugs me most about releasing all the episodes at once. I do kind of like the taking 2 months or whatever to watch that new series. By the time it's done, it's 8 months to the next one as opposed to a freaking year.
Yeah.
I agree. On the other hand, we never know what's going to happen in any given moment. We could all be dead tomorrow.
That
and I'm
is
super
true.
glad that I got to finish the first season.
That's true. It would suck to have missed the end of The Mandalorian because of that.
That's so true. That is so true. Well, they also put out the newest season of Sabrina.
Yes.
I-
Yes.
I've only seen a tiny fraction of it because I had to finish the previous season of Sabrina, which I just had such a hard time getting through. But
Yeah, I remember you not loving the series.
Yeah.
no.
I'm
I
a
mean,
little surprised
nah.
you're watching it. I thought you I'm done.
Hey
I ain't
man, I'm
doing
already
this.
committed, so I might as well just keep going until further notice.
All
But
right. Okay.
yeah, I get so frustrated. They're like, they're like, oh, this is such a crazy dark show, except she's just Nancy Drew, so that's fine. I just keep waiting for her to like be like really, really evil, and they keep tempting it. They're like, now she's the queen of hell. Now she's split into two. Like, at what point is any of her going to be evil?
I think you're listening to the wrong sources, I guess, because I don't remember anybody going, this is really dark. More like, this is dark, but everybody in it is being silly and fun.
Right.
So the situations are dark.
Cast your mind way back when we had this argument, and it was based on the fact that the comic book is actually dark.
I know. And I think I can't get, that is a big problem for me, but I did genuinely hear like reviews that were like, it's so crazy dark.
Huh.
So I don't know. I'm going to have to pull it back. I'm saying this with no reference points, so it could be fake news 2021, but
I have no doubt the people that live on a steady diet of Hallmark movies and Avengers being too violent thought it was really, really dark.
Yes.
The world we're coming from generally is going to have a problem of it being this is really, really light. She like sauteed children in a pan. Oh, that wasn't so bad.
That's true. I have been like immersing myself in some pretty dark content. Although I will say for 2021 in general, I'm pretty stoked. I just went through various articles about everything that's coming out for Avengers and for Star Wars. Yeah. And just tried to wrap my head around either of them.
So much
content. So I'm stoked.
Yeah. Well, what was I going to say about Sabrina? Well, let's keep in mind it is still aimed at, teens, I think. So it's pretty dark for that. I do enjoy. I'm about halfway through this last season. Mm-hmm. And it is the most overtly Lovecraftian of these seasons, for sure.
Oh, does it get
that, yeah.
Lovecrafty?
And it's a lot more like Creature of the Week or something?
It is a Monster of the Week show this time, but I'm okay with it, especially... They have one of the big evils that shows up is the Weird, which is clearly an acolyte of Cthulhu. And I like that a lot.
Nice. That is fun. I mean, I did enjoy the season finale where like the green takes over for season 3. Like that was pretty neat. That had like some really interesting, like if this one particular entity takes over, it can be so bad. Just imagine if any of them take over.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely something I'll look forward to as I rush my way through this series. I'm sure I like got halfway through the first episode and was like, I'm just gonna pause this.
Wow.
I will come back to it. I just,
You see anything that you want to talk about, Eric?
I was still doing the 2020 deep dive. I mean, I did watch what was it, Perfect Trip or some shit like that, which Steve Zahn and the guy from Justified, Timothy Oliphant. And
this is the one about the LSD or something like that, right?
No, they go on a honeymoon in Hawaii. And it's like, ooh, which two people are the killers that were recently seen in such and such a place kind of movie. Directed by the guy who did Pitch Black and a few other things.
Oh.
So I'm reading all that going, this should be really good. And it's really okay.
That's almost worse.
Yeah.
Than bad.
Especially when you've got Oliphant and Steve Zahn, all those guys who just do good stuff, even when they're in a silly shit. Perfect Getaway. And what's her name, who kills all the Resident Evil zombies? She was the lead lady in it.
Is that Mia? No,
Yeah,
not Mia.
no.
Somebody.
Oh.
Famous model who turned actor.
Uma. No, not Uma. Yes.
Mila Jovovich.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's a pretty damn good cast, pretty solid director, and he's written decent because I think he wrote Pitch Black as well, and like, oh, this should be fun, and then it's fine. It's just it's fine.
Well, with Mila and Timothy, at least you got some fine-looking specimens of humanity to look at.
And apparently, Steve decided he needed to jack him. So he's like, I'm going to be working opposite Timothy Oliphant on it, so he is beefed in this one. It's like, Jesus, his arms got huge.
Everybody wearing bathing suits, I imagine, for
at various times, yes.
Okay, well, so we're going to jump into this episode's topic, and we're going to do it a little differently because we are talking about our top 5 films each for 2020. And then after we get done with that, we'll jump into our runner-ups or other films that we liked. We just didn't want to do those things first and then end with our topic because nobody knows what we have picked for our top 5.
It's true.
That's right.
I'm so curious what you guys have chosen.
I imagine there will be some crossover.
I would think so.
No,
Oh,
we
okay.
have such different tastes.
Well, I know that the Phineas and Ferb stuff didn't make it to my list. and
Yeah,
stuff.
sorry.
Hey, that was like a topic. It's not my top 5. I don't think they even make that show anymore. I think it got canceled like 5 years ago.
Okay, wow.
Okay,
Very
so-
defensive.
Didn't have anything in
I
2020.
just want you to know that I have other tastes too.
I think we figured that out. Yes.
Well, Eric, you want to start us off with
Sure. My
Your
number
number
5.
number 5?
Ooh.
Casey Kasem in here. Aged myself horribly on that one, didn't I? Anybody? Anyways, not that anybody that much younger. Anyways, god damn it. Start up, dumb shit. Get Duked.
Oh,
In my number 5 slot.
N-
Dude,
not on my list at all.
I don't know if I even saw this.
I did not see
I
it.
did mention it on one of one of our podcasts before after I saw it. It's the one with the bunch of kids in Ireland who get in trouble and have to go on a survival retreat. and
That's
get
right. Yes.
Hunted
Yeah.
by local people who call themselves the monarchy of the area.
Right.
Right. You know what? I do remember that popping up on a couple of best of 2020 lists. And where is it? Where is it? You can catch it? Is it on Amazon?
Yeah, I think it's Amazon
Okay.
or I don't think
Something.
it's Shudder. It's probably Amazon or Hulu.
Mhm.
Anyways, but it's yeah, it did all right. 87.65 from the Rotten Tomato critics and crowd. So it did fine. But I here's how I put my list together. I wrote down. I went through my Letterboxd reviews and wrote down all the ones that it's like, even if the review might have been like something was a 3-star and something I gave 4-star. If I remembered that 3-star better, like you know what, I obviously enjoyed this movie more.
Interesting.
So I pulled all of the ones that really stuck with me and then just started whittling down. So
Yeah.
I honestly am a little surprised at some of the stuff that ended up on my list. So it's like,
Wow.
and this was one that I knew I really liked, and I'm not surprised it ended up because it's so much fun to watch.
What was the plot of the film again?
A bunch of kids in trouble, kind of a scared straight sort of thing, except they're going to go out into the wilderness of Ireland, which, you know, not the same as going to the wilderness of the Northwest, but they had to get from point A to point B, meet up with their teacher or whatever he's called, and then take another trek.
But there's something that happens.
Yeah, there's a group of people that I don't know if they own the land or squatters, but called themselves the monarchy of the land, and they look at these kids as invaders, so they're going to make sure they scare them off from their area or kill them for being on their land illegally.
Man, that's hilarious. So I know in British culture, there's this really funny thing where in America, we have like the Boy Scouts.
Right.
And in there, they have something called something guides or the something anyway. And instead of like going out in the wilderness and like learning to like start a fire or whatever, they do these like long walks and like countryside walks. And there are these trails that go up and down the entire country. But and legally, at least in England, you have to be able to go through land because it's all technically owned by the Queen or something. So you're supposed to be able to trek through farmyards and stuff. But yeah, people get really pissy about it too because they're like, I'm a millionaire. Get off my property. You filthy walkers.
Peasants.
That's right, exactly. So that's my number 5.
I'm putting that on my list if it made your number 5.
Yeah,
pretty good.
same. Definitely same. So my number 5, this was such a struggle trying to figure out what to make it on that bottom slot of the list.
Sure.
Just because, there were like so many that kind of affect you in a different way, but equally so. So my number 5, up until about 2 minutes ago, I was still debating it. So, but I'm gonna go with it. Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So either of you have this on your list?
Not on my
know.
list, but
Oh,
I did
great.
like it a lot.
So my list, I just want to caveat it by saying I really skewed it towards feel good. Like a lot of my films are going to be about me feeling good or making people feel good because it
Sure.
was a fucking year.
I have a couple of those too.
Yeah. So Bill and Ted Face the Music, it was just such a happy, fun film. I felt so good after seeing that movie. And same writers as previously. They managed to get, of course, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. The two daughters are excellent.
They managed to get Keanu Reeves. I'm sure Alex Winter was just waiting for Keanu to say yes. Like,
Alex Winter has a fine directing career
he
currently.
actually does. Very
So,
good.
Alex Winter's doing really well. But yeah, definitely like just the fact that I don't know that it happened at all. And I know that they've been struggling for a long time to make it. So it really felt lovingly crafted. And yeah, it just, made me feel good.
I thought that they both fell into those roles pretty easily again.
They did.
And I believe that I had a really good time with that film.
It's great too because Keanu post John Wick. It's almost like, oh hey, that's right. Keanu Reeves exists and he's kind of awesome, and we're like in such is it a Keanu sense, a Reeves sense. And it's really nice to see him be willing to walk back into something that basically defined him as a stupid guy who couldn't act for most of his career. But he just was like, I'll do it. I don't mind.
Nice.
Makes people happy.
Well, it'll come as no surprise to you guys that I cheated for my number 5.
No. If I didn't cheat, you can't cheat.
But it still, I think I'll argue it. It still works. Mine is a documentary.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
And my number 5 is Leap of Faith, William Friedkin on The Exorcist.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You did love that film.
I loved it. And not just me. The Rotten Tomatoes critics have it at 91%. Audience has it at 89%.
Yeah,
It was written and directed by Alexandre O'Philippe. And here's why this guy is so good at this. He also did 7852, Hitchcock's shower scene.
Oh.
He also did The People versus George Lucas.
Oh, shit.
He also did Memory, The Origins of Alien. And he also did The Dock of the Dead. So no wonder I loved this so much.
Wow.
I love all of his documentaries.
Yeah, no kidding. Those are great.
This is starring and narrated by William Friedkin, and it's described as a lyrical and spiritual cinematic essay on The Exorcist, exploring the depths of William Friedkin's mind's eye, the nuances of his filmmaking process, and the mysteries of faith and fate that have shaped his life and filmography, which is super snooty because what it really is a masterclass in cinema. If you can't handle egomaniacs discussing themselves, this is probably not for you, but I would argue that Friedkin has the body of work to back up his braggadocious ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with his ego just because, if he was 30 and he had an ego like that, it might be a little different, but yeah, he's been successfully making pretty damn good movies for several decades. Go ahead and have a weird ego.
Yeah, that is available on Shudder too. So,
and he's not shooting guns anymore on set, right?
I think he actually mentions I'd never do that nowadays.
So really, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, that and punching one of the priest who wasn't an actor.
Who wasn't even an actor.
Oh my God.
You do need to watch this.
I do.
As a filmmaker, even more so, I think it's interesting if you love film, but if you've ever been on a set and you've ever done film stuff, even bigger.
Well, it's so funny because like the other documentaries that you mentioned that he was behind, like the People versus George Lucas, has been on my list forever.
Oh my God, that's so good.
So, and I already know a fair amount about George Lucas, but I want the extra ammunition. So I gotta see this.
Yeah, you should. It's really good. And while you're at it, go out and seek the short film George Lucas in Love. It's awesome.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I will. Every time I know that you are a lover of short films and you are a great curator of short films. But for me, as soon as you say short films, like a light goes off in my head and everyone starts running around. The ship is sinking. Emergency. Get out.
All right. Well, on that note, something that is definitely not a short film. My number 4 pick, the feel-good movie of the year, Relic.
Oh, of course.
I still haven't seen this.
Same. Yeah.
This is an interesting one. This actually was the one that made me go, I think we're going to get the Rotten Tomatoes for each of these because the critics have it at 91.
Oh.
The crowd has it at 48.
Whoa, that
So
is a
just-
disparity.
Damn.
Is it a slow burn? Is it deliberately paced?
It is to a point a slow burn, but nothing compared to like The Lodge, with everybody seemed to love.
Why do people like The
I don't know,
Lodge?
it bored the crap out of me, man.
I hate that fuck. Anyway,
God.
it's gonna be like your number one.
4 on my list. The Lodge.
But if you can argue it's good, we will listen. The relic is it's got a gigantic tone shift from how it starts to a very strange switch in the end that I went with and thought, oh, wow, what an inventive, crazy way to deal with what's going on in this movie. It's also very dark. It's very mean in a lot of ways because it's got yeah, sorry, I mentioned this too much. A fairly accurate portrayal of dementia and what the family goes through, and what a lot of things also often forget on dementia is the anger and the other strange shit that goes on, and they nail a lot of it, and then they do it really well, and they don't do it as an insult. But man, when it changes to the second half and to where the daughters, I think, start getting in danger, it's a very strange shift. One review I read kind of compared it to House of Leaves, which I thought, oh, okay, interesting. So yeah, that is, I believe that's Netflix.
Is it scary?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's got a good dread would be a better word.
Okay.
It's got more of a dread, but then it's got some really good, weird suspense stuff.
And it's supernatural horror, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting because I think, and we talked about this before, but any horror film that really focuses on something that the filmmakers, especially if the filmmakers know, so if they've clearly been through the process of dealing with somebody who has dementia and then incorporate that into a film, probably therapeutically, like that's so freaking cool. That, like, it's nice for people who have also experienced it to see and just be like, oh, you didn't just half-ass this or guess as to like how this, like, there are so many films out there where people just get cancer. And I'm like, I really personally for a long time felt like I really could not possibly talk about cancer because I'm like, I don't know anybody who's undergone, and now I do, life goes on, but it's just, it's so nice when it feels so authentic, and I think it can pull off a lot more. It really does,
yeah. Yeah, this and The Taking of Deborah Logan probably are the most that I've seen, the most accurate.
Yeah.
So, but Relic, it is, right. I said I picked a lot of feel-good movies. Not all.
Clearly. Well, I'll jump into my number 4, which actually kind of mirrors your critic. Except for, it mirrors your audience, I guess. 47% for the critics, 60% audience, and that is Underwater.
Very nice. This was very close to making my list.
Yeah, me too. Okay. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it was just really, I don't know, it was such a fun action film, and it probably is higher on my list also because I saw it in theaters before.
It's your last good memory.
It's up there. I see a lot of films on my own, and I remember the theater was pretty empty, and it was one of the last days that it was still in theaters. And I know the pandemic had been mentioned, and I was like, I gotta get in and see this movie before it's too late. And yeah, it was just, I liked the surprise moments, and I liked, for the most part, the cast was great. Just, moved along very nicely, very disastrous.
Remind me what the Rotten Tomatoes on this is?
Audience is 60%, critics 47%.
What did they want out of this movie?
I don't know.
Bunch of no fun having stupid critics, I guess,
Right?
for this one.
This movie takes about 40 seconds to get going.
Yeah, I know.
And then it's just nonstop. I loved it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a stupid movie. I think everything that happens, it feels like it escalates appropriately. I don't know. I don't know what there is to what do they say about this? It's a strong cast and stylish direction aren't enough to distract from the strong sense of deja vu provoked by this claustrophobic thriller's derivative story.
Okay, fine.
It's too much like other movies you love.
I know. I'm we're at an age now where it's going to be pretty darn hard to pull off something new unless it's about Twitch streaming.
And let's face it, they've got to be comparing it to the Alien movies.
Of
and
course.
this is the best Alien movie since Aliens.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not like,
And it's
we've had
not-
great Alien movies and this one is sucky.
And it's like, I mean, you could argue it's Alien meets Abyss, but it's not tonally either of those films. It's its own film. It's an action movie. I mean, Aliens is too, but it feels more adrenaline driven and disastrous mixed in with those elements. So I don't know. I'm just
I always find that excuse for a movie being bad going, it's like you actually kind of really respected or liked this movie in some way, but you felt you needed to show how well, this is just like, it's like yeah, that and probably 40 other films you could come up with. A bunch of people in trouble running away.
Hey man, Kristen Stewart has no hair and acts. This is thrilling to me.
That's right. Right up there with the Avatar thing. Who's just like Dances with Wolves? Yeah, Dances with Wolves was like about 400 other westerns you haven't seen. So
yeah, Mandalorian is Lone Wolf and Cub, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
So we just have to know that, hey, if it references something or borrows from something, so what? If it's enjoyable, what does it matter?
It worked for Quentin Tarantino.
Not only that, a big critique of the film I saw was that there was no character development. And I thought that the filmmakers got around that by casting people that you kind of understood.
Yeah.
So when TJ Tranchell shows up in a role, I actually know what his character is going
Immediately.
to be. So I don't need development.
Yep.
No, and all you want to do is see how those people act in these situations they're thrown in.
The thing that comes up a lot with indie films that it gets submitted, it's like, oh, we spend a lot of time on character development. People sitting around a campground talking about various shit is not character development.
Yeah.
I think Underwater had good character development because it showed them reacting in real time to what was really going on.
Right.
And I don't need to know that they were born in Oklahoma for that to be part of their character.
And as they go from space to space, I seem to remember like more clues are unveiled about what happened, who different people are. I don't know. Like I definitely felt like there was maybe the characters weren't changing as the action happened, but our understanding of them certainly was.
Yeah.
And more power to the director as well, which I just want to mention, William Eubank, who did The Signal, Love, and was mostly a cinematographer. I mean, that's been his main shtick for a long time. So great eye, and he's trying things.
Yeah.
The Signal was like a interesting film. So it had a lot of weird moments, but like, man, like that was a lot of effort behind an indie piece. So
Yeah, I've changed my mind. That's now my number one. So let's stop talking about it. We'll come back to it.
We'll just find more to mention about Underwater.
Until then, my number 4 was The Dark and the Wicked. Did that make anybody else's list?
No.
It's one of those years, man.
Yeah. A budget that I could not find, but a box office of 414,000 somehow. Rotten Tomatoes, critics have it at 90%. Audience has it at 62%. It was written and directed by Brian Bertino, who wrote and directed The Strangers, which I hate.
Oh yeah.
The Black Coat's Daughter, which I think is pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Scary.
And The Monster, which is the young girl and her mom on the stuck on the road with the monster surrounding their car.
Yeah.
So this guy has done a good job of these kind of movies. Stars Marin Ireland, who has 68 credits, most notably Sissy in the Umbrella Academy, and will be playing Nora in the upcoming Y, The Last Man series. Did you guys ever read Y, The
Oh my
Last
God,
Man?
yes. That was one of my first graphic novels.
Is that like a
adventures.
HBO adaptation or something?
I don't know,
or?
but it has 8 episodes listed on IMDb. So I was
my
like,
God.
what? Yay! Also stars Michael Abbott Jr., who has a ton of short films and a couple episodes of Fear the Walking Dead and the upcoming Hell House remake.
Oh, man. Okay.
And this is about a brother and a sister who are called back to their family farm because their father is on his deathbed. It goes from that lovely, happy premise to very much worse as mom kills herself that night and a series of very scary events and visions start happening. Basically, for some reason, there's a demon that is waiting for their father's soul, and it is tormenting everyone as it waits. This thing, have you seen this, Vanessa?
No.
It is so scary.
It's really good.
Huh.
It's got a couple of moments. There's a shot where the guy looks outside and he sees his dead mom floating out there.
Ooh.
And
I just got shivers thinking about that.
it raised the hair on my arm.
Oh.
It's got amazing sound design. It has relentless scares, and I loved every dread-filled second of it. I know Eric had a complaint that there was nothing to break
It's
that
just one
dread.
it's just one of my strange little things, but it didn't hurt the film. It's still a great damn movie. But
Yeah, for whatever reason, it really stuck with me. So that is The Dark and the Wicked. It is only available as a rental still.
Wow.
Worth
Oh my
it.
gosh.
worth it though.
Yeah, it was like $2.99. It's not a
Yes.
$15 rental. or
Yeah,
anything.
exactly. Like a lot of these, I paid for in some way or another.
Somewhere. All right. So my number 3, I guess, was one I know you've talked about. I don't think you liked it nearly as much as I did, but was Spontaneous.
That's on my list.
Higher than 3?
Yep.
All right. Let's head on over to. We'll give your number 3, and we'll come back to Spontaneous when
Okay,
we get to
awesome.
your
My number 3 is Freaky.
Oh, fun.
nice choice. That was one that it didn't make my list, but it
Mhm.
balanced. Going,
Right.
oh, damn it!
Again, just one that I just had a lot of fun watching. The cast clearly had a lot of fun making this film. Vince Vaughn basically pulling off a Jack Black. I'm of course referencing Jack Black in Jumanji, where he plays a teenage girl, much like Vince Vaughn in this movie, playing a teenage girl, and not even a popular teenage girl, like an outsider teenage girl. That's not an easy pull. That's not a hey, I need you to play a teenage girl, but here's her actual character in depth. So
Especially when he looks like he's 7'5" or
I
something. in
know,
that movie. He's so huge looking.
he's enormous, absolutely enormous. So the director is Christopher Landon, who wrote Freaky as well, and Happy Death Day, Paranormal Activity 2, and started off with Disturbia. The stars in this, the main girl, Catherine Newton. I was trying to figure out where I'd seen her before. She was in Pokemon. Do you guys remember her in Pokemon? She's the girl.
She was the
Like
lead.
that
Detective Pikachu.
I didn't watch.
Oh, well, you know what? It was fun.
I mean, I tried based on your suggestion.
I think we have to have an understanding between us that sometimes I enjoy
Oh,
children's content.
we have an understanding, Vanessa.
She's also in 3 Billboards, and she's going to play Cassie Lang in the new Ant-Man. So
Wow.
yeah. But she was just a super fun character to watch, and as well, just I don't know, it was a great dynamic to see a young girl owning Vince Vaughn. So
Yeah, super fun. I didn't realize that was the same guy that did Happy Death Day, that wrote
Yeah.
Happy Death Day also. So,
yeah, it's there's a lot of crossover actually in my selections, which is going to be interesting to check out. But I will say it's interesting. I don't know how they're figuring out the Rotten Tomatoes and audience scores for these, but this one sat at 83% critic, 80% audience. But how
Yeah,
do they
that's-
know?
Well, the
Who are they-
audience is just the people who will waste time writing a review on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, that's the only way they get the audience?
Yeah, and then
Oh.
I
the
don't
critics
think-
is what do you call it? An aggregation of all
Yeah.
the critic reviews. And
Oh,
if you basically say I like the film and I give it a D, that's a positive.
Is this a thing? Do people actually go on to Rotten Tomatoes and review stuff?
Oh my
you
God.
don't remember The Last Jedi?
Yeah, man.
No, I do not.
They
I
had
mean,
to change the way they
did it?
run their critics because so many. If you would go through it, you'd read the same because it was so hated by fanboys. You'd read the same stupid review every 4 reviews.
Oh
The
man.
exact same thing where somebody was just going in. It was just bad.
Wow. I mean, I would think, oh, why don't you get the data from IMDb and Letterboxd and,
Eric and I have talked many times about how much we actually hate Rotten Tomatoes and we
Mhm.
don't think that it's anything we should be basing any of your decisions on, but that it made for a good gimmick in what we talk about for movies. And that's the only reason we talk about it.
I know. Well, I never follow it, but I do like how it summarizes up in one sentence, thousands of pieces of
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, it does that Metacritic that kind of does the same thing. I just
Right.
think
Yeah.
the Rotten Tomatoes one it's more known, so let's talk
Yeah.
about it. And yeah, it's just an aggregation site, folks.
Well, thank you for the lesson, guys. I really appreciate it.
Okay, we'll get into my number 3, and then how about after this we take a little break?
Sounds good to me.
And that's all dependent on this not being somewhere higher on anybody's list. I've got The Hunt.
Nope.
Also floated around my top 5 for a while, but didn't quite make it.
Budget of 14 million, box office of 11 million because it opened the weekend that everything shut down. So they almost had a great weekend. It actually made 5 million of that just as the theaters closed.
Wow.
Rotten Tomatoes critics have it at 57%. Audience has it as 66, which I think is a little low. You guys both saw this. I think you liked this.
I mean, I can't believe it's number 3 for you.
Oh, I loved this movie.
Really?
I could see where the kind of person that would go onto Rotten Tomatoes and write a review would get the wrong mindset, and they'd focus on, well, this made fun of me, you know.
But it makes fun of everybody.
And ignore
Which is so
I love
good.
it.
And ignore and miss the fact that it's also making fun of everybody else.
Oh my God, the
so.
liberals take a tough hit in this. For sure.
Directed by Craig Zobel, who has done episodes of Outcast, American Gods, and Westworld. Written by Nick Coos, who is the writer and producer on HBO's Watchmen, and Damon Lindelof, who you would know from Lost, Prometheus, Star Trek Into Darkness, World War Z, and 8 episodes of Watchmen. He basically show ran that episode, wrote every episode.
Yep.
It stars Betty Gilpin, who is a national treasure. 38 credits, but I only know her from the show Glow. I love her in that show.
She is so good in it.
Yes. And Hilary Swank from Boys Don't Cry, $1 Million Baby, and The Next Karate Kid.
Yeah, there you go.
Lest we forget.
Right. It is a movie. It starts with a bunch of strangers waking up in a clearing. They don't know where they are, how they got there. And then it turns into Most Dangerous Game. And maybe this is why I like it, because that's one of my favorite types of story.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And this might be my favorite execution of it, right next to last year's Ready or Not, which was also a Most Dangerous Game story.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bunch of elitist liberal assholes who have grabbed together a bunch of horrible conservative online people who are posting shitty things, and they've decided to hunt them, but they might have accidentally picked the wrong person with one of them.
Yep.
And it does have biting commentary because you hate everybody in this, both sides.
Yeah.
And then when the kind of twist comes and you realize what's really going on, you're like, oh my God, I can almost see this happening based on the way we all jump to conclusions so easily.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I have to admit, as somebody who listens to a hell of a lot of NPR, I had a moment watching this too. I was like, I feel really dirty and bad about myself right now. But I want to be educated.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was surprisingly gory. They did a couple of little twists at the beginning that I like where you bring in a actor you recognize and you go, oh, there's the hero of the show, and boom, he's out.
Nope. Part of what made me really want to see it was the initial reaction before it even came out. You had, I think it was Tucker Carlson who lost his shit about it, and then
I think it was no less than Trump who lost his shit about it.
And then it just climbed up, and whoever you want to pick, there was somebody. I don't think it was Maddow, but it was somebody like that who lost their shit on the left about it. It's like, oh, well, this is something I gotta see.
Well, and the conservatives who were losing their shit over it didn't seem to get that they should have been saying, yes, this is what we've been saying forever.
Yeah.
They want to hunt us and kill us. Instead, they were like, this is a movie about liberals hunting and killing conservatives. Well, it's not actually, but okay.
Which is funny because that's what liberals said too. I didn't want to watch it forever because I was like, oh, this is a movie put out by conservatives about how shitty we are.
Well,
because that was the impression I got.
Yeah,
from
but you got to step out
research.
a little bit and realize that's not going to happen in a Hollywood film.
I mean, you're talking about the guy who created Watchmen, which took rafts of shit for being too liberal.
I know. Well, honestly, I didn't do any research, and I did watch it. So,
right. Yeah, I loved it. Number 3 for me. Still not available anywhere. Well, maybe it might be on HBO Max, but I don't
I
think
think
so.
I think it's on HBO
Is
or
it finally?
Showtime or something like that.
Because if it is, I'm watching it again.
I definitely got it via Netflix disc in mail.
Ah.
So
Wow.
The people at Netflix are like, we really want to discontinue this service, but there's still one person who's using it.
My
so I guess
mom.
we got to
Yeah.
keep it going.
definitely my mom. She's that.
Your mom wanted to see The Hunt?
My mom, no, my mom has been forced to get my list of things when I have run out of Hallmark movies to order for her.
Does your mom have an AOL email address?
Thankfully, no, but it is a Hotmail.
Okay, well,
Uh-huh.
better.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, guys, why don't we take a little bit break and we will come back. We'll discuss our last two films and then we'll get into our runner-ups for the year.
I'll do it. What gives? You want to do it? Just wait till you see what I've got. It's the Wonder Boner. The Wonder Boner? Oh, you laugh now. Just watch. You just assemble the Wonder Boner stainless steel rods like this. Take the fish, find the top of the spine, slide him through the ring on the Wonder Boner, and voila! The Wonder Boner. My wife would like that.
Introducing the Wonder Boner, the amazing new fishing tool that makes deboning fish a breeze. The Wonder Boner's unique design removes the bones from trout, char, and whitefish. Simply connect the appropriate size stainless steel rods, start the spine through the ring, and push the fish through. It's that easy. And the Wonder Boner comes with a polyethylene storage case that doubles as a base and a cutting board. Why go through the hassle of deboning a fish the old-fashioned way when the Wonder Boner makes deboning fish this easy?
Well, I think the Wonder Boner is a winner. So, Dave, when did you get the Wonder Boner? It's funny you should ask.
And we are back. Hey, guys, it's kind of weird. We've had no crossover yet.
One.
Yes,
that's
one
right.
so far.
Not one that counted. I mean, nobody crossed over with me.
That's true. That is true. And I think I know at least one of your next two that is not on my list. So
Yeah. me
Okay.
too.
Well, Eric, I think you're going next.
I'm pretty sure this won't be a crossover for anyone. This is another one that I don't even know if either of you have watched yet either. But Swallow.
I still
have not seen it for sure.
That
liked it so much it made your top
number
5.
2.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, just hell of a film, hell of a character study film. Again, like I said, when I talked about it before, it's borderline horror. You're pushing to call this horror, but that's how they market it. So screw it. I'm going with them. But so I've talked about this one a bunch. So I won't say too much, but it was a 88 critics, 72 crowd. So fairly highly rated. Now this one I would classify as a slow burn, but it is far more of a character study than it is a people attacking each other kind of thing or anything like that. It's all about what the lead goes through, what she goes through as a newlywed and controlled by this asshole guy and this awful, awful family, and the weird way she comes to deal with it by swallowing stuff. Her way to control her world becomes very apparent to her. And I just thought it was incredibly well acted, really well directed. The art direction is also way off the chart, especially when you realize the guy wanted to emulate Hitchcock in the way things looked. Not necessarily in the movie, but the way it looked. Yep.
I remember thinking that just viewing the trailer.
Mhm.
I was like, this looks like a movie that was made in 1968.
Yes. Yeah, it does. And it maintains that through the film. So yeah, like I say, if you really want to hear me blab incessantly about this, check up our episode on eating things or I can't remember.
Freaky food, I believe.
Yeah,
that was.
it's fairly recent. It was
yeah.
only a few weeks back, but I talk about it much more. But yeah, left a hell of an impression on me. Swallow.
You're really into the character development stories this
Can
year.
be, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
No, I'm definitely impressed with it and excited to check it out at some point when I want to feel bad. In the meantime, my number 2 is also something that I talked about in depth previously, which is a Kelly recommendation. Love and Monsters.
Oh, nice.
This was right there at the top, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to let this
Yep.
one go. I
Me
loved
too.
that movie.
It didn't quite make it onto your list at all.
No.
No, yeah, this movie was just so, again, I don't know if in a normal year it would have been in my top 5, but this year it was freaking in my top 5.
Well, you weren't kidding if you're looking for feel good.
Yes.
Yes.
This movie
Yep.
was all of that.
Yeah.
And the critics agree with 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
That just
Nice.
makes me angry that it didn't get to theaters because
Yeah.
I want everybody involved
know.
in this to become big stars.
Well, and the director, Michael Matthews, he hasn't done a lot too. So I'm hoping that, post-COVID, he's going to be recognized because he'd only really done Sweetheart and Five Finger Marseille, which I know I'd mentioned before, but
So he directed Sweetheart.
yeah,
Do you guys remember that one?
I do.
Yeah, I was.
I didn't like it.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
That's
this
surprising.
movie's
He's
great.
Improved significantly.
Yeah, he's
Script helps.
he learned, yes, exactly, having a really solid script. I don't know, it almost feels like an Edgar Wright movie in places.
Absolutely.
Oh, very much. Yes.
Yeah. So they're just such a well-written, well-acted piece with fun monsters. Oh my God, that world is so much fun to live in. And the thing that I don't like about certain movies like The Purge is that they establish this really neat universe that we don't get to see a lot of. And Love and Monsters is like, nope, we're going.
Yeah.
And you get to see all kinds of critters and
Yeah.
all kinds of different situations. And that was just really neat.
Well, in line with the Lord of the Rings haters, it's just about a guy walking, man.
Yeah, it's true. And he writes in his little book, he makes his little journal entries about the monsters on the way. And there's love and there's monsters. It's in the
Yeah.
title.
Right? It delivers what it
It
promises.
sure does.
It also reminded me of my youth, middle school and early high school, playing like role-playing games. This felt like a
yeah.
world that
Yeah.
you would want to play a
Mhm.
role-playing game based in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the monster encounters are frequent enough, but you still have
Yeah.
time for adventure on the edge. When he pulled out his notebook to kind of start to write down these monsters, I actually had a strong moment of, oh my God, that's such a cool idea because it is just a D&D book.
A
And
monster manual.
yeah, monster manual.
In a perfect world, this would have become a huge hit, and that book would have been available mass
man.
market
Can you
for all of us to
imagine?
pick up.
I would have bought it.
Me too.
I would have bought edition 1 and 2.
Nice. Okay, so that was your number 2.
Absolutely.
I could have cheated again because my number 2 and my number 1 are interchangeable, and I thought I'll just make these a tie so I can slip another movie in, but I didn't. But I wonder if this is making your guys' list then.
Yeah, I don't
think
know.
it can't. Possessor Uncut is my number 2.
It did not quite make my list.
Same for me. It was definitely in that. If we were doing a top 10, it would be there.
If it was not 2020, it would have probably made it in my list, but it is a 2020 year. So
This hit me right in the sweet spot of what I wish that a new David Cronenberg film would have been like.
yes, absolutely.
I couldn't find any budget stuff on it, but the box office was $895,000 again somehow. I don't know if
Where-
he was able to do
Australia.
it. Yeah.
Must be Australia
Or in
and
the
London.
3 weeks where films were open somewhere.
Yeah, London
Mhm.
opened for like a hot second and then closed back down. So everybody went to the theaters for like a couple weeks and then
So the critics for Rotten Tomato have this at 93%, which is pretty good for a
Yeah.
horror film.
Yeah.
And the audience has it at 59%. And I'm guessing
Really?
it's just a little too cerebral. There's too much thinking and wondering what's actually going on. Because there is a lot
Yeah.
of that in this where you're like, what's going on?
Why?
yeah.
Written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, who had done Antiviral. Brandon Cronenberg, of course, produced by David Cronenberg.
You don't say.
Ba-dum-bum.
It stars Andrea Riseborough from Oblivion, Birdman, Nocturnal Animals, and probably most recognizable from Mandy, and Jennifer Jason Leigh from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, The Hitcher, Annihilation, Lacey's Story, or Lacey's Story, I guess it's called, which is a Stephen King adaptation. And I was like,
Oh.
oh, cool. I like this book. Who's she playing in that? when I look on IMDb, you know, they've got the list of actors and then the character they're playing.
Yeah.
It's got the list of actors and the characters they're playing. When it comes to Jennifer Jason Leigh, no character name. It's just a blank line.
Whoa.
What is this all about?
Mystery for another time.
Yes. Riseborough plays an agent who works for some kind of secretive organization that uses this bizarre brain implant technology to inhabit other people's bodies, and then ultimately driving those people to commit assassinations for high-paying clients. Because this is a horror film, she begins to lose control and finds herself trapped in the mind of a man whose willpower is much stronger than her own. This is just a weird fucking movie. It feels like it should have been made in 1977 or 8.
Yeah.
It's such a strange idea. Some really strong performances, some shocking gore when it shows up. I don't know that it's a gory movie, but when it decides to be, it certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you don't want the son. Look, if Steven Spielberg's son comes out and he makes a movie that's just like E.T. or something, that's kind of like the last thing you really want.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize how badly I wanted Brandon to make a David Cronenberg film.
I mean, Cronenberg left a gaping hole, and no one has properly filled
He was
it.
his own filmmaker. It's nice to have somebody.
Canada financed that man, and no one else would have.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for that, because we have some real interesting content because of it. But
Cronenberg doesn't even make Cronenberg movies.
Right,
anymore.
exactly. Yeah.
He does not.
He's gone legit, as it were.
And he acts.
So this was just so refreshing. I loved this movie.
Does it remind you at all in places of Under the Skin?
Under the Skin. I'm trying to.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, I did not like that movie.
Really?
So...
Yeah, no, I didn't much either.
It's just like, I think just in those moments where you go into the weird mental state where maybe it's inside of a spaceship. It's hard to tell. And it's that black room with the black oily, you know, and the person is being overtaken by her. And there's this kind of interesting exchange.
You know, now that you mention it, I think this would probably make a great double feature with that, because it feels like they should both be playing on a drive-in in 1977.
Oh my God, that'd be so much fun. Oh my God, we got to keep doing drive-ins. I don't know where, like, there was a little surge in the summer, and where are they now? I need them.
You generally don't run in the winter.
I don't care. Make them run in the winter.
Could here.
I'll put on my windshield wipers. It'll be fine.
Well, that was my number 2. I mean, by process of elimination, your number ones have to be the same thing you're talking about, don't they?
No.
Oh, no.
Nope.
No.
Oh, okay.
Because mine was number... I know what your number 1 is.
Yep, you know what mine is.
But no, my number 1 was Anything for Jackson.
Wow.
I love this movie.
Whoa.
One just totally took me by surprise, because I was doing that list of, here's a 2020 movie. I think it's on Shudder. So I was like, well, let's watch this. Heard nothing about it.
Yeah.
Didn't see a trailer or commercial for it or anything. It's like, blown away by it.
Yeah.
It was 98.73 for critics and crowds, so fairly highly reviewed. Directed by, I don't know if it's Justin G. Dyke or Justin G. Dick, but D-Y-C-K, not just as you see necessary. But here's some of his other films.
Ooh.
A Christmas Exchange, A Christmas in the Rockies, Love in Harmony Valley, Pony Sitters Club.
Wow.
Baby in a Manger.
This guy's been brewing.
He's got like 30 some odd credits, and every one of them looks like they're from the Hallmark Channel, except this one.
Yes.
And something in this guy said, I have to direct a horror film, and he nailed it.
Did he write this one also, or?
I don't know.
That would be interesting if he's just been making all these Hallmark movies going, I can't wait to make my really crazy horror film.
That was the pitch to me.
He was the writer too. Or, story. He didn't write. Looks like he was a story writer, but didn't write the script.
I'll say this. The relationship between the adults feels so real that I'm sure that's all honed on years of Hallmark Channel movies.
Yep, exactly. And that's part of why I think it works so well, is the love and caring between the husband and you absolutely believe these people will do anything for Jackson.
Yeah.
Because they are so connected to each other, and the side characters are all great, and they're not, one or two of them Sounds like a beer. It's Kelly, so I know it's not.
Doop, doop, doop.
But sounds like in a lot of movies would be cliche characters. I think they're given a fair amount of depth, even if they're just barely on the screen, like the guy who constantly wants to shovel their yard
Yeah.
has a solid group of scenes.
Mhm.
And the acting is all top notch. The effects are top notch, and the ideas and the execution are wonderfully, like we were talking about original earlier. Yeah, you've seen shit like this before,
Mhm.
but you really haven't seen it done like this.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun, and it just nailed me when I'm watching going, I love this movie, man.
I will say the ghosts in it were very effective.
Jeez. Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of scares, but the ones
Yeah.
it does are there.
Yeah, definitely. And like exactly, they aren't. And after a while, it's like not as scary, but then you get a new one, and it's like, oh my god, what the hell is happening right now?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, it didn't make my list, but I can totally see why it would be at the top of yours.
Really, really well written, brilliantly
Yeah.
cast, because what he's asking you to do is root for the bad guys, and you absolutely root for the bad guys the entire time
They're
because
so personable.
they're accidental bad guys.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah.
So they don't really want to be doing this. They just don't feel like they've got another choice.
Yeah.
And it does that very rare thing really well, where I was talking about before with the way too serious all the time. If this had been a flat out serious film, it wouldn't work at all.
No.
But since it's got that wonderful give and take of humor and weirdness, and these people know what they're doing, these people have no idea what they're doing, it goes back and forth so well. I just think it's an incredibly well executed film.
The humor is all based in, I mean, if you can imagine, if you found out your grandma was a practicing Satanist, but she had just started,
Yeah.
that's just funny, you know?
Yeah, they're little meetups with the other people who are also part of this.
Oh,
So
it's so good.
good. So
And the
good.
one lady's like, this is just something I do for fun. I
Right.
don't know what it's
I like
about."
that. It reminded me so much of the one time that we did our podcast in the community library.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, you can borrow these rooms for anything.
Good point. Yep. So that was my 2020 number one. I
Well-
think I know what yours might be.
Weirdly enough, you probably do. Much like you, this came to my list late in the game. It was while I was trying to fit in some more 2020 titles and just see what was out there that I'd missed. And I'm so glad I did. My number one is Spontaneous, to no one's surprise.
So good. What I had that was 3 for me.
It's it affected me pretty deeply. I think much like Relic did for you, this one touched on some personal topics for me, like
Yeah.
losing a parent and then seeing people around you disappear was really just, I cried. I definitely cried. And I think critics agree, 98%. Audience is slightly less so, 72%. The director for this actually also was the writer for Underwater, Love and Monsters, Divergent, Babysitter.
Yeah, he had a good year.
Good
Yeah.
grief. Yeah.
Good going, Brian Duffield.
Yeah, man.
Way to go, dude. You rocked it. I really enjoyed the cast. I think Catherine Langford, who you might remember from Knives Out and maybe Love
yeah.
Simon. She was in 13 Reasons Why. She just really, I don't know, she was very effective as the like fun, controlled, out of control, but really controlled teen. The one that with the cool parents that kind of let them, let her do whatever she wants, but also she's not going to do anything bad anyway, so it's fine.
Right.
I don't know, just
For
really
me,
got to me.
Since it was on my list. I'll
Yeah,
throw in
what was
two.
it that you got into?
For me, part of what worked is I really liked her
Yeah.
and her boyfriend
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah.
And you kind of know what's coming.
Mm.
So there were scenes like when they were in the barn, I'm going, please let this scene end. I don't want this scene to keep going because what might happen? So you've got these incredibly sweet scenes with this intense level of tension going underneath, going, okay, no, not yet. All right. And when it finally is executed, it's like, wow.
Yep. Exactly. Like you have these kind of, that everyone is a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Everyone. And you have no idea what's going to happen with any of them. And I think that, that feeling of just wanting to see them happy and then being forced to undergo strong moments of extreme unhappiness from different characters and then finding a silver lining. It was hard. It's hard to pull that out of that movie, but I felt like they did, and I think that's why it affected me so strongly. Is they actually brought me to the darkest possible place and then brought me back out. So
yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
I like this movie a lot. Not as much as you guys. I thought the dialogue was just a little too clever.
Sure.
And I was telling Eric when I saw it that I was like, boy, this makes me feel old. This makes me feel like an old man because I think that if I was like Vanessa in my 20s and female, then I would probably enjoy this a lot more. But just noticing how clever the dialogue was made me feel old.
And it speaks to a very different generation for sure. Like the people who are going through high school right now do not know what it is to be a jock versus nerd.
Yeah.
You know, like that's gone. That world does not exist anymore. It's not a problem if, for the most part, it's not as big of a problem if you have gender fluidity. It's a whole different world. And they're surrounded by internet and phones and different lines of communication and different ideas.
Nerd culture is pop culture now.
Yep, it is.
Everybody's a nerd now.
Big Bang Theory is just a common show. It is their friends, you know?
Yeah, very nice. One of the things I liked about it, a common complaint for The Dark and the Wicked is no explanation for why all this horrible shit is happening. It's very broad explanation at the end where it might be because the grandpa was bad guy, but we never get any, he sold his soul or anything like that. That works so much better in kind of a romantic comedy situation where, there's no explanation for why these kids are suddenly exploding. And we don't need to know. That's not what the story's about.
Exactly. Which, I absolutely love that. Because any explanation is going to be bad. We're not going to like it. So why bother?
It's going to take away from what is important, which is the story of her and what she's going through.
Yeah, and I think the tension would have been destroyed if they'd brought it when the government had found what was wrong.
Yeah.
Too high a midichlorian count.
That's right.
And they're like, we're not going to explain it to some teens. And since we're with a teen, it's like, you wouldn't get it anyway, so don't worry about it kind of thing. Yeah. And that works for me.
Yeah, I like that one. So.
Yeah, what is...
this one's going to surprise you guys. I picked for my number one, Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Shocking. Completely shocking. I definitely had no idea this was going to be somewhere near the top of your list.
I knew it was going to be on your list, so when it hadn't showed up yet, I'm going, well, I know what number one is.
Yeah. A budget of $2 million, box office of $185,000. Rotten Tomatoes critics have it at 89%, and the audience has it at 72%. I know exactly why.
I'm going to shout out real quick. I can guarantee you this is probably going to be one of the next movies I watched. I purposely did not watch this because I knew you'd talk about it. And the way you described it, I'm going, God, this could fall into my top 5 pretty easily. So I'm just not going to watch it.
Wow. What a sacrifice. Thanks, brother.
I did watch it, but
Vanessa,
I just
ignore all that shitty stuff I said about Eric earlier. And, it was written and directed by Jim Cummings, who wrote and directed Thunder Road. Did you guys see that movie? It won Sundance a couple years back. He plays a neurotic cop in it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it, though.
It's fantastic. He got his start. So when you look on the IMDb page, they show the films he's known for, such and such. So he's known for Wolf of Snow Hollow, Thunder Road, Captain America, The Winter Soldier. And I was like, what? Go on there. His first film, he was a PA.
Oh, that's glorious.
I love it. Yeah.
Wow, what a difference. He shows up, PA's there, and then, okay, time to put my movie together. But I can't have any of that.
It also stars Jim Cummings and Ricky Lindholm, who was in Knives Out, and a ton of other things, but is also Garfunkel in Garfunkel and Oates. And Robert Forster, who is a goddamn legend. 189 credits, including Jackie Brown, Vigilante, Alligator, and The Black Hole. This is Jaws with a werewolf in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Terror grips a small mountain town as bodies are discovered after each full moon. The sheriff is divorced, hates his wife, has a teenage daughter who he loves very much, but doesn't connect with very well in some very funny moments. And he's doing all of this stuff. Robert Forster is his ailing father and the police chief. And it appears they have a werewolf killing people. This is the movie I would expect if the Coen brothers announced they were going to make a werewolf movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It is shockingly gory. It's very, very talky. The lead is a neurotic mess, which is something that Jim Cummings seems to have a good handle on because he plays pretty much the same character in Thunder Road. And it's got some really ridiculous humor moments in it that made me laugh a few seconds after they had happened. Because I had to think about it. And so there was like dialogue that just raced by, and then I was like, what did he just say? It's also surprisingly bittersweet because Forster plays the sick and ailing father, and it kind of mirrors what was going on with his health in his last days. This was his last film.
Oh, wow.
Just to nail some of the funny stuff down, I took a couple of quotes that I liked from the dialogue. This is the sheriff talking to his daughter. He says, "I'm having a hard time with this thing, honey. It's nothing you have to worry about. I'm going to find the guy, obviously, but I'm just curious if you still have that pepper spray that I got you for communion." She says, "I think so. You realize that was a weird gift to give somebody, right?" He says, "I do. It's okay. You'll never need it. But I want you to promise me that you're going to find it and keep it on you at all times." And then his dad talking to him when he says, "You're going to have a hard time getting my generation off the stage. Willie Nelson's still doing concerts." And he says, "Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Dad, Willie Nelson is playing guitar and he's not doing a lot of heavy police work."
Yes.
And Robert Forster, when all of the stuff starts going on, he gets on his computer and the news reports are trying to contact him. And he's like, "Oh, my God, what is this? 11 new emails on this thing this morning. Jesus Christ, this is worse than my birthday." So this is a werewolf movie in the same way that Jaws is a shark movie, which is to say it is not a werewolf movie. It is a human movie. The characters are really, really well fleshed out. The relationships between just friends, between the ex-wife, between the daughter and his father, they all felt so believable. And then in the middle is slapped this werewolf story. And a lot of people are going to say not a werewolf story, but when you see that werewolf the first time, you're like, fuck yes, this is a werewolf story. That is the coolest werewolf I've seen on screen. Very, very Dog Soldiers design on the werewolf.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I just loved it. I'm going to watch it again. Just talking about it made me love it that much more.
Like I said, it looked pretty damn good to me. So I'm going, oh, nope. There's enough out there that I'm liking that.
Vanessa,
let's talk about more films.
You said you saw it, but I haven't heard you talk about it. So
yeah,
you did not love it as much as I did.
I didn't love it as much as you did, but I do think that they did a lot of really cool shit. Like the town is super neat. I just didn't like the main character that much. So it was really hard for me to live in that world with him. But those lines that you mentioned, I remember that communion one very well. And just be like, oh my God, what? Like the daughter was really good in it. I like where the movie goes a lot.
Yeah, I won't say that his character is hard to like, but he's a complex individual, and there are parts and things that he does that you're like, why would you do that? But then that made me go, because some people do that sometimes.
Yeah,
nobody's great.
Not quite Roy Scheider.
I think that he owes a lot to his character, a lot of his character to Roy Scheider, though. There's and this script, I think, owes a lot to Jaws. I feel like he really wanted to kind of make that kind of movie.
Yeah, I do think that the story is super good, super good story for sure.
Should we just lightning round a few almost or something like that?
Yeah. Let's see what
I
else
got one
saw.
that I thought for sure was going to be in my top 5 in February, but is not.
I think
Color Out of the Dark.
Oh,
of course.
Color Out of Space.
Out of Space.
It's funny because I keep forgetting that was this year.
Yeah, technically it was this year.
I thought we counted it in our last year.
We did the same thing though. We mentioned it. It's like, but technically it's going to be a 2020 movie, so it shouldn't be on our list.
Oh, okay.
Oh, of course.
But then I looked at it going, if we hadn't seen it in 2019, it was just 2020. It would be on my. I really liked it, but it would not have been in my top 5.
Sure.
Sure. Something that was so close to being my number 5, it was unreal. Host, the Shudder film with a bunch of people hanging out on a chat and doing a live seance that goes terribly wrong. It's just so well done.
I would say that is 2/3 like done this in this podcast. I thought it was interesting too and a lot of fun, and it did that thing we talked somewhat with The Mandalorian about, where it was like a 50-minute movie or something.
It was short.
Yeah.
It was very short, and
which was good.
yeah, it was the length it needed to be, I felt like, and I just really liked what they did. I mean, it's a COVID film for sure. Like it was made during COVID, and it lets you know that.
Yeah. I will say those guys were on top of shit, not only getting something out this quickly, but also tying it into Zoom, which is
So
something that
crazy.
very few of us knew about at the beginning of this, and now everybody uses.
Yeah, we all know it.
Anyone who had stock in Zoom, well done.
Well, you knew that Underwater was going to be on my list, and that got
Absolutely.
pushed back. Come to Daddy with Elijah Wood
I
and
heard so many
Stephen
good things about
McHattie.
that.
I still want to see that one. I remember
Yeah.
you talking about it, but haven't seen it yet.
I love it. It starts out as a ghost story and ends up as something way weirder.
Got VFW.
That's right.
That's on my list here too.
Yep, that would have been close, but no. But it's a lot of fun. It just didn't stick with me like some of the other ones did, but it's definitely well worth watching and a lot of fun.
Vast is the Night, the Amazon.
That is
Picture.
on my list here. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think that's the one
You saw that one. That was the one with the
radio.
the radio thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
thought
most
that-
notable, I think, is that amazing camera shot that goes out
Oh
the
my
window and through the
God.
town.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah, it's such good camera work, and I love the dialogue. It's super snappy. The characters are really fun. It reminds me a lot of Amy Sherman Palladino's work, but the ending wasn't my favorite. So
Had a rough
that's
ending.
what made it not. I felt like they ran out of ideas of what they wanted to do, which was unfortunate.
I like the ending because it's very Lovecraftian.
Yeah, that's
point.
fair.
Basically, it's like
Absolutely.
a sense of dread
Yeah.
at the end instead of winding up anything or a happy ending or anything.
We
It's kind
Fair
of like
point.
oh, we're nothing.
Yeah, basically.
This one, I think, on any normal year would have been very close to my number one. The Invisible Man.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's on my
that's on
on
same.
mine too.
Yeah.
It's incredibly well done, incredibly smart and interesting and technically sound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big budget horror. This made me wonder if I think that our attention would be split along a lot of other movies that actually made it to the theater this year, not just
Sure.
horror, but I can't believe I didn't get my Fast and Furious film and
Right.
shit like that. I think that the pandemic allowed for a lot of these smaller movies to release because these gigantic movies were holding back to see if they could somehow get a theatrical
into,
slot
like
again.
Yeah.
Top Gun and the isn't there a Mission Impossible movie or
Right.
something?
Well, they're filming Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is yelling
Oh,
at
that's right.
everybody.
that's right,
That's
yeah.
right. Be healthy on set, apparently.
Another fun one. Idea there. Vampires versus the Bronx.
Oh,
was
of
fun.
course. I actually forgot about that one.
Yeah, that was I liked it, but it is kind of forgettable unless I don't know if you're 8 or 9, it's probably gonna love it until you're 45 and watch it again and go, okay, it's fun.
I remember.
Yeah.
I think it dropped on Halloween or something like that. It was a perfect little
Yeah,
Halloween
yes,
film.
Exactly.
Mine, another one that I really liked that I only saw recently, but was probably the number one box office for the US or somewhere. I don't know. Tenet.
Never did see. I still haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't seen it. It's available to me now, and
It
I'm
is.
like,
Yeah,
I thought, I thought that was going to be the film that was going to be the first thing I'd see in cinemas when
sure.
we were allowed back in. And obviously that just, everything took longer. I went ahead and checked it out, and it's a really fun mental puzzle. That's what I like the most about it is, I wouldn't say it like blew me away. It's definitely not the best Chris Nolan film, but it's still a Chris Nolan film, and there's a lot going on in it, and it's very rewatchable. So I need to watch it another like 2 or 3 times, and I'm not even kidding. But like not in a painful way, in a my brain is very interested in this kind of way. So
All right, I got to bite the bullet on
You
that one.
should
I don't
bite the
know why.
bullet.
I don't know why I haven't.
I would say, like, I think a lot of people were extreme in their opinions of it either being very good or very bad. I really think that it has its issues for sure, but it's totally worth checking out.
I know kind of and it's a dumb reason. Nolan just kind of sticks in my craw a little bit. It's that he seemed to poo-poo anything that wasn't shot on film as being worth his time. It's like, no.
It's hard. I mean, like, he's definitely got a personality along those lines. He shows up on all of his sets in like a full suit and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
which
definitely
is kind of cool.
He's
in
got
a
his
way.
own thing going. That's never bothered me, but the thing that does also stick in my craw.
Yeah.
Craw?
I don't know what that's from, but I know it's a saying.
It's very exciting. I like it. I got to figure out what it means. Is his sound design is really troubling. The M&E just swallows dialogue. So I did actually watch Tenet with the subtitles on, and thank God I did.
Wow.
If I hadn't, I would not have. I mean, there were a lot of people who complained about this in the theater. They just could not hear what people were saying. And it's already a very difficult film to figure out what's going on. So without that dialogue, you're really, really screwed. But with the subtitles, that worked for me just fine. But he definitely did that in Dunkirk. And I just wanted to murder him because the music and effects were so drowning out and destroying of that film for me. So that's my personal issue with him.
Is this a soundtrack that has the Hans Zimmer honking through?
It does have a fair amount of sound wall to wall, but it's not as irritating as the wasn't there like a website or like a button that somebody made, like a phone app that you could just press that whenever you wanted?
I need that.
Yeah. But I'll still see it. I just because that's a petty, silly reason not to
I'll
like a
see it too.
filmmaker. But
No, I mean, I think it's fair, and I've definitely had similar moments where I'm like, "Screw you, buddy!" Like, I have a really hard time with Michael Bay because of set stories I've heard, and that's that's kind of maybe not fair, but I know that I like a lot of his films, but I just think he's a horrible human being.
Yeah.
So,
what about if I was making a feel good top 5, I would have dropped Scare Me in there.
I thought it was really neat and super well acted, but it wasn't like, it didn't blow me away.
Okay.
yeah, I enjoyed it.
I liked it a lot.
watching it.
Yeah. It had a lot of good in there, but I think
I like
just-
my next cluster here of. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No.
Okay. 4 films: Leap of Faith, Possessor, The Hunt, and one we haven't mentioned, His House.
Oh, sure. Yeah. His House.
Which had problems, but I found the idea, because the number one complaint we always say about horror films is, why don't you, or haunted house movies, like, why don't you just leave the house?
Yeah.
Well,
They
this one made
can't.
that really difficult to just leave the house.
And he tries too. It's not like he does the thing that you want people to do in horror films of like fight against the issue and do the natural thing that you yourself would do.
Did you see this one?
I did not, but it has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Does it really?
Does it?
Jeez.
Whoa.
Okay, I don't know if it's quite
God.
good, but
Well, I have theories why.
yeah,
It would.
it's got some really good, solid scares. It's got some CGI problems in those scares occasionally, but that tends to not bother me too much. But I know people have mentioned it, so I thought I would.
Yeah.
Acting is pretty solid. It's good. It doesn't fall like The Changeling or anything like that, but it's good. It's worth seeing.
A couple of the final ones on my list. Haunt. I don't know if either of you guys ended up seeing that. It's like a Shudder film where they go through a haunted house.
Yeah.
Sounds
I
Like a
think
fairground
so.
haunted house. Joe Bob did it
yeah.
as part of his.
Where it's got some weird security they go through, and then
They leave their like cell phones in little baggies.
I remember that. That one had a lot of break press when it came out, and then
Yeah.
I watched it and thought, well, it's fun.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was a neat idea and very good for such a low budget film. I think it's
Yeah.
a first film as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and really, I don't know. I walked away going, man, they did a great job. This is a hard topic to pull off. The fairground amusement attraction with the ensemble, and I liked a lot of what they did in there. So that was great. And then Enola Holmes, I just have to give a shout out to. That was such a fun film.
I keep forgetting about that. I
Yeah,
do
me
want to
too.
watch that one.
You should definitely check it out. It's just, especially if you enjoy something like Sherlock, it's nice to kind of get a more rounded viewpoint of that universe. And I don't know, just a fun, fast, furious little film.
I got a couple of last ones. Eric, you got some
Yeah,
more
I got
still?
a couple I can do after that.
I really liked that film that you did not like, Vanessa, The Wretched, about the witch next door.
Oh yeah, I didn't like
Yeah,
that.
I like that one too. And I have Vivarium on my.
Oh, wow. I did not put Vivarium on.
I guess no one's going to
I
talk
think
about
it's
I'm
the
thinking of
very
ending things.
Bottom of it. What's that?
I guess none of us are going to talk about I'm thinking of ending things.
No.
Very
No.
divisive. But yeah, go on.
No, I just like that. It was kind of a mix between well, it wasn't even a mix. It was basically Fright Night with a witch instead of a vampire.
Pretty much.
I liked The Witch. Looked cool.
That's
Yes.
true.
Cool looking.
The witch parts were better than the Fright Night parts.
Yeah, the Fright
Sure.
Night parts is the part I didn't like.
Sure. Let's see. So I'll shoot off here real quick. Well, I did like Porno in the end. I thought that was fun.
I did too.
La Llorona, the Spanish one, not the
Just saw that.
not the
Right. Not the Blumhouse
Blumhouse
version.
one. No.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah. I mean, actually, I just watched that the other day. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Because it's like a horror film that is wedged up against like a kind of a crime drama.
Political thriller, crime
Political
drama
thriller.
kind of thing.
Yeah. So you think you're shoved in one film that's the main film,
Mhm.
and then you get like horror bashing its head against it.
Right.
And it's really well done. Like a very well done film.
I actually avoided it based on that. Do I
Oh.
need to give it a chance?
I think you should give it a try. I mean, I don't know. You know his taste better than I do. Maybe I shouldn't recommend or not recommend this.
Potentially, I think you'd know about 15 minutes in if it's gonna
Yeah.
work or not.
That sounds about right.
And a couple strange mentions here, real quick. One called Uncle Peckerhead.
I've heard of this and have not seen it yet.
I've not heard of this.
It would have been a Crypticon film, but we didn't do any features really. Well, we did one feature for the streaming stuff, but it was a band, nobody knows about kind of band touring in a van that somehow gets mixed up with a serial killer who becomes their roadie. They don't know what he does initially, and it's just a lot of fun. I was really surprised by how
Huh.
much fun that film was.
Is that streaming somewhere?
Yeah. It's on, pretty sure it's Amazon or Shudder.
I'll check that out.
And the 1BR, toss that out. 'cause
Yeah, I put that on my
enjoyed
list
that.
too. I don't know if I can say I enjoyed it,
But it was well done.
but it was well done.
And my final mention for the year is the gore scene of the year in Hunter x Hunter.
I've got that on my list here. That is a creepy movie.
hmm And I had no idea who the lead actor was until I looked it up later on.
Right.
Like, oh
Wasn't
my
that
God.
Devin
Sawa?
Sawa?
Yeah. Somebody,
Really? Devin Sawa? I
Somebody
had a
very
crush on him as a
recognizable
teenager.
and
Ah.
unrecognizable in that role, at least for me. Was.
Yeah. And especially at the end.
There were a bunch of films I really wished that I had gotten to see and have not yet. And I don't know if you guys managed to fit any of these in, but they were on a lot of top lists, like Shirley,
I have not seen that.
Saint Maud. I never got around to She Dies Tomorrow. You saw Sputnik.
She Dies Tomorrow's aggravating.
Oh, okay. Got it. And then Extraordinary, I desperately want to see. But Baccarat
No.
is a big one for a lot of people too.
Baccarat?
It's like an Australian, I don't even know. It's Australian horror film.
I've not heard of
Yeah,
that.
I've
It's
heard that
it's
one.
like really top 5 for a lot of film reviewers.
I did love Extraordinary, but
Which one was that again?
that's about the woman who is the driver's training.
I haven't seen.
Did I use it in one of my?
You did.
Okay.
Mhm.
I really want to see that one, but it's still.
It's very cute.
Yeah.
I would not put it on a best of horror list.
Yeah. Yeah, these are, I mean, I have so many 2020 films left to see. It's so funny. During 2020, I was like, I don't know what to watch, and I can't even think of what to order for my mom on disc on Netflix. And now I'm like, oh God, I have so many movies to check out in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah.
I'll finish then with The Vigil, which I thought was pretty decent. It's a Jewish horror film, and the premise is that I guess that there is a waiting period after a person dies, and somebody waits with the body to make sure they get to heaven, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And this kid is hired to do it, and it is a very scary night.
Ooh,
so yeah,
that sounds
I liked
super
it a lot.
fun.
And then just a couple of series that I just fucking loved this year. Sweet Home is on Netflix, and it is a Korean series about a kid who moves into an apartment complex, and then what appears that the complex has gone to shit, but by episode 3 you realize that the entire world has gone to shit, and there are just monsters everywhere. And it's it's almost got a zombie feel to it, not in the monster design, but in the fact that people can get infected and they hide that from other residents and stuff like that. And then they turn into monsters. And I really enjoyed that one. Mm-hmm. But my big favorite was Alice in Borderland.
Yeah, I need to see that one.
Which is a mixture of Lost and Battle Royale.
Shit. Is that on Netflix? Or?
That is on Netflix. Yeah, I fucking loved it. And don't want to forget that The Grudge had a series at the beginning of the year that I thought was
pretty good.
Pretty decent.
I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
the Ju-on
very
Grudge
good.
story.
Yeah.
Saw one just yesterday called #Alive, which starts off really good. It's a Korean film, and then just becomes every other zombie movie you've ever seen. So that was really disappointing, because that opening 20 until he finds the other person alive, it was like, this is really unique and interesting, and then they find each other and it becomes a zombie movie.
Yeah.
There was just so much good TV this year. I mean, during lockdown, I just felt really blessed to have so many options.
#blessed.
#blessed. I mean, we all kind of checked out, of course, Mandalorian.
300,000 dead, Vanessa.
Oh my God. What? No, I feel bad.
But I'm glad that you feel blessed.
Oh my God.
I could go so dark right now, but I'll be nice.
Oh my God. Watchmen was really good. Lest we forget.
Yeah, holy shit.
It was. I know. This Is Not Okay. It's kind of slipped through the cracks, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a really fun
That
little
was the one
thing.
I passed on until you smacked me in the face and said, watch this. And I loved it. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it
Remind
was
me
just
on that one.
fun little girl who, it's kind of like Carrie.
Okay, yeah, that was really good. I did see that one.
Yeah.
That was very good.
Very good. Dev was this year.
Oh, I still have not watched.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. So good. Homecoming was fun to watch, and also very weird and kind of Twilight Zone-y. Boys season 2.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, how did I forget the boys? Yeah.
Right?
So good.
And my personal favorite that has just made my whole world so much better, Lower Decks. Star Trek Lower Decks.
So good.
So good.
So ridiculous.
Probably my second favorite Star Trek series. Nothing can ever beat Next Gen. But no, it is so good. It's just like so lovingly well done.
It's obviously made by somebody who loves the hell out of it. I forgot. It's the guy from, is it?
Oh, Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty, yeah. Just love Star Trek.
Yeah.
They know all about it. They have seen all of the series.
They know deep cut. There are deep cuts. There's in the one of the last episodes, there's a little flying robot thing. And I was like, why does this look familiar? It's a prop that gets reused over and over and over again in Star Trek. If you ever look up like reused props.
Oh wow.
I was like, oh my God, that's such a deep cut. You guys.
It's like the car flip for Trauma.
Oh my God. What about you guys? Were there any series that
I didn't really write down any, and you just named a whole lot of them.
I know?
I mean, Schitt's Creek was the one but that wasn't necessarily that was a 2020 phenomenon. Not
it was a
2020
2020
show.
phenomenon for sure. I still haven't made it to that. Raised by Wolves.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Ooh, yeah. I will say that The Stand is going downhill very quickly.
Oh no!
I was
just about to start that. No,
I think I've watched all but the last 10 minutes of the third episode, and it's sort of like, well, we'll see where this goes.
I blame the non-linear storytelling, which is completely unnecessary
Yes.
and then ruins any kind of reveals that would happen in the story if you haven't read the story.
Right. Yep. Yeah. That and it's
man.
done. It's not done particularly well because it just switches scenes,
Yeah.
and you got to now we're current. I mean, it doesn't take long to fill in, but at the same time, you got to send that second or two going, what? Oh, okay. Yeah. Now we're back in the current. Oh, this is an old one.
interesting.
Yeah. They should have just told the damn story.
I agree.
Huh? That's
And when they showed up in Boulder, like what, episode 2, I think. I'm going,
Well, it starts
pretty
in
quick.
Boulder in episode 1.
oh, that's true.
And the first scene is them clearing out bodies. And I was like, okay, I can handle this as a gimmick for the first episode, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was going to run through the series.
Interesting. I was debating maybe trying to read the book and then
The book's
watch
good.
the series.
I like how you were going to try to read the book. Your
I'm
reading,
realistic.
Your comprehension skills are,
It's just a big book.
it's a big book.
I mean, I made it through Game of Thrones, so I have faith, but it's a big book. I mean, like,
It's a lot easier to follow than Game of Thrones. I read the Game of Thrones, the first 3 novels,
Yeah.
3 freaking times.
whoa.
And the third time I got to the third one, every time, like, I'm done. Because it's so convoluted. There are so many characters.
And it
going,
only gets
I
worse
don't
as you get in.
care about these people. I'm just going to watch the show.
Yeah. When you get to the Onion Knight, that I had a moment of, do I want to carry on or am I done? And I carried on. I'm glad I did. I like the world, but
His writing's great. Those first 2 novels are obviously rereadable, but
yeah.
man,
Yeah. So maybe that'll, so between On the Stand, we've got the current thing, the previous miniseries, and the book. How would you approach
2
this?
books.
Oh,
There's the
2
original
books.
publication, and there's, I don't know what they call it, the
Yes,
director's
it was a
What?
a slim 893 page volume when it first came out, and then they expanded it. All the stuff that he had cut out once he became the master of horror, they put back in. So there is the Stand complete and uncut, which has an extra character that had been cut and an ending that had been cut and all sorts of extra stuff.
All right. So where am I supposed to start with this?
I think that the original Stand sits fine on its own.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you are with like Audible or books on tape and that kind of stuff.
Depends on who's reading. That's kind
He's
of my
got a
thing.
really good reader,
Mhm.
and that book on tape is excellent.
Okay.
So if you've
I
got,
do a lot of long drives,
Right.
say to and from the podcast.
There you
right,
go.
And I am
Good
getting a
times.
little tired of NPR. So
Oh, jeez.
I've listened to so much NPR.
Impressive
this
that you
year.
lasted this long.
I know. It's mostly what. Oh,
If
God.
it- I
just
don't.
can't wait to see what they say next. I'm just on the edge of my toes.
It's been
so
a
exciting.
rough year. I
It's-
just like who else will have died?
It's not so much the content; it's more. Hi, welcome to NPR.
Right.
Give us the station here. We're gonna all break a little bit, and then we'll come right back, and we'll be talking
Okay,
about. And,
but-
and
Eric,
they edit the fuck out of that
could you
show.
They-
calm it down just a little
That's
bit?
right.
Eric?
Sorry. They edit that show so tightly that it's
Yeah.
like it's okay for somebody
Bam
to
to
take
bam to bam.
a breath occasionally.
I will say though, if you listen to it late at night, they switch to this really adorable Canadian show where they talk about like Canadian issues, and they're like, "This man wandered down the riverbank for a few days on a flotation device. Let's bring him in." Or this woman, no joke. One of them was, this woman has a plant store called Mary Jane and has now got the wrong kind of business people coming in. How do you deal with this? 80-year-old lady? Like, their stories are so good. I
She
just
came back
love
with,
it.
It's legal now, so I am making so much more money.
Just switch it around. Yeah, no, it's so there are these little gems in there, and if you happen to catch them, I mean, that's how I learned about things like The Moth and just little stuff in there that you're like, oh my God. And Radiolab, which I'm kind of obsessed with now.
Yeah, sure.
So
Riveting stuff. All right, I feel like we have spoken for far too long.
we have
That's even still, we're like 20 minutes shy of the.
Oh, well,
100
tell us
episode.
more about your NPR episodes.
I'm sorry, but I will say thank you guys so much for sticking with us through 2020, listeners. It's
there's
you
a lot.
know.
It was a weird for podcasting because a lot of podcast listening
Mhm.
dropped off significantly, especially for first couple months. But podcast being created exploded.
Yeah.
We use Buzzsprout, and they do a podcast where they talk about podcasting.
Oh, boy.
At the beginning of the year, their
Podception.
YouTube channel had 5,000 listeners. Their YouTube channel now has over 50,000.
Wow.
It's like
Whoa.
10 times growth in 1 year. Yeah, there's a lot of new podcasts out there. So thank you for
Wow.
sticking with us and enjoying what we're doing.
Yeah, we understand you don't have an hour commute to work anymore because you don't have a job. But we really appreciate you at least continuing to hit that subscribe button, whether you're listening or not.
Yes. Thumbs up,
Thank God.
subscribe, 5-star with a horrible film for Eric to watch.
Well, it's been a while. Bring that on. Bring it on.
Absolutely.
We have a bunch of tunes.
And we had to do our pandemic episodes where there was a couple of times where either I felt sick or just we weren't going to be in the same room.
Zoom, zoom. Ah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we
little
even
bump
had
in
our little twice weekly mini
Oh,
episodes.
yeah.
Those were fun.
Yeah.
totally different, rolling with the punches. So
Yeah.
I can't wait till you guys are vaccinated and I'm vaccinated and we can just hang out and not ever feel guilty about it.
I am not getting vaccinated.
Oh, okay, never mind. Well,
Don't
that's
need
fine.
that chip in my arm.
We'll
That's
be.
right. I'll just carry my phone. Screw the chip.
Am I the only one who's gonna be vaccinated?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I imagine we'll all be forced to be vaccinated or we'll be labeled as enemies of the state.
Well, yes. Okay, that's fair. I don't even want to get into it, but I have one best friend who said surprisingly she'd get vaccinated. I was worried she'd say she wasn't, and the other one even more surprisingly who said she would not. And I was like, I don't. What you? It's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, anyways.
The thing I've heard is a lot of people saying it happened too quick. It was made too quickly.
Mhm.
And I think having now listened to many NPR sponsored podcasts about the science behind it and how it was done and the reason why it is so fast and the guy who is responsible for most of the inoculations that exist on planet Earth and why we're using his science to get where we're now at. I was like, okay, cool, I'm fine. Just give me it. And I'm allergic to everything. So if I'm going to get it and possibly die, then y'all, I can't even have eggs. And what's in a vaccine? Eggs. So
Well, you guys go ahead, get your vaccine. I have rights. So
it's fine. If we're vaccinated with just two-thirds, does that get herd immunity? If you and I, Eric.
this is the lamest herd ever. The three of us in this room.
We're responsible for the greater good.
There you go.
Okay. Enough of that.
Okay, so as usual, thank you to all the people who are liking, sharing us.
We have a topic.
Oh, shit. Whose is it?
Mine.
Oh,
Thank God. Right?
thank God, because I don't have anything set up.
For our next episode, it's my turn to pick a topic. We're back to normal topicing. And which I remembered about 2 hours ago.
Perfect.
We've been stewing on it this whole time.
That's right. Well, I've got kind of a weird one, so we'll see how this plays. I want you guys to come up with a great movie that you really enjoy, genre specific, of course, or genre, I mean, from a director you've never talked about on this podcast before.
I'm talking about oh, shit.
No one's talked about John Carpenter yet. No one.
Except for the three people here.
Ad nauseum. Okay. All right. A genre film from it doesn't have to be a famous director. It could be
No.
just any film that we haven't had.
Huh.
That might
This
prove
is-
challenging,
Yeah,
though.
something you like, though. It's
Yeah.
got to be like a film you like. So
Right.
it's theoretically something you already know about,
Oh, okay.
Woof.
but you just haven't talked about anything by that particular director.
Oh
All right.
my gosh. Okay. Huh. This is this is gonna be interesting. Okay.
Can I talk about John Carpenter?
I mean,
Pretty sure you talked about him too.
Shit.
Yeah, I think I might know one, which is
Nice.
exciting.
Nice.
So yeah, awesome. Okay. Well, I'm stoked. We get to go back to our normaling.
Me too. I already did my blah, blah, blah on the ending. So that's what everybody's homework is. Hey, by the way, anyone who's listening to this and can think of a good movie I should pick, go ahead and send me a text or something. Danny, Ron, I'm looking at you guys, Bob. And we will see you next week when we're talking,
Some damn director. I
however
think,
that
man.
works, a director
I
that
got
you
another-
haven't talked about already.
Yeah, it's got another title problem for you there. You're welcome.
In the shadow. In the shadow right now.
All right. See
See ya.
ya.
Bye.
Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Morgret. Our theme music is Strange Aeons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Aeons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever